to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Abbott's Clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here. Now, a lot of people, when they go through something very distressing, tend to increase their vigilance. They think more about that thing. They study it more. They research it more. They become very attuned to anything around that thing. And that can create a very interesting paradox where the more they know, the more scared they are, the more they look for clues or warnings, and the more anxious they get. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But here's what's interesting is that for those people that have done the research, they're probably safer than almost anyone else in that particular area because of all the knowledge they have, because of all of that sensory acuity. And I was working with a client that had very distressing experiences with mold. It had affected their health. And because of that, they were vigilant. They knew the smells. They knew the things to look out for. They knew where to check in like the HVAC, and they would know all these things. And that was only increasing their anxiety. So this actually does a reframe. And it actually says, well, there is no one safer on the earth than this particular person because they know what to look for. And if there's any danger at all, they can either spot it early, mitigate it, keep themselves safe. And that's a very empowering reframe, because otherwise the anxiety just feeds on anxiety. Whereas feeling that you've never been this wise, this resourceful, this aware actually can keep you safe. And this could apply to anything. One of my heroes growing up was Steve Irwin, the Australian naturalist who, into animals. And you would see him picking up snakes and scorpions and alligators and crocodiles because his knowledge of these animals actually made him feel safer. He was very aware. He would look for very subtle movements, the kind of thing that the normal person would just not pick up on. He picked up on, and he understood. He had lots of knowledge about these animals. So what would be reckless for an average person was actually fairly responsible for someone if you have those. But he perceived it as resources. And lots of people, they gather all this knowledge about their particular thing that they're scared of, and it just makes them more scared. So this is a hypnosis session to seize the empowering part of all of this knowledge and awareness that you've probably accumulated on whatever your thing is. For this client, it was mold. For you, it might be something else. So think about what is the thing that you used to be anxious about, but because you are more aware of that thing, actually, there's no need to be anxious anymore. In fact, what you probably are left with is a superpower specific in this area of your life. Now, it was created for a client that had originally a fear of mold. So if you do like the idea of a bespoke hypnosis session, have a look in the show notes. There's various resources there, including the ability to look at how to work with me directly. So check that out in the show notes, in the description, if that's of interest. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in, allow yourself to breathe in that calm, slow, relaxed breath of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of stress, worry, or tension, especially any echoes from the past, to be released and to feel it leave your body in your outward breath. That's it. Breathing in relaxation, exhaling tension, giving yourself permission to let go. You've been holding on to a lot. You've been worrying about a lot. And right here, right now, you can just allow yourself to let go of any need to do anything. Sometimes pressure, thoughts, worries and concerns build up like a pressure cooker. And every now and then that pressure needs to be released and relieved. So every outward breath, just make it go twice as long as it normally would, allowing the outward breath to be the release valve. That's it. And as you breathe out, feel the release. And there may be clues in your body. Tension around the jaw, just relaxing. A lightness in your head. Or a heaviness in your arms or your legs. That's it. Every outward breath, just make it a little bit longer. Breathing in for deeper. Exhaling for longer. Allowing each breath to take you deeper and deeper relaxed. That's it. And the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe. A wonderful cycle of ever increasing levels of relaxation. You don't need to make yourself relaxed or make yourself calm. But if you notice it, embrace it. If you feel more relaxed, acknowledge it. If it feels like your nervous system is calming down, acknowledge it. And allow your attention to turn inward to an idea that your body has always been trying to protect you. Your body has always been trying to guide you. Even when it felt intense, and even when it felt overwhelming. Your intuition was never working against you. But sometimes it was working too hard. Sometimes there's a part of your subconscious that was trying to prepare for risks that weren't there. Too much urgency, too much anticipation. Like fighting shadows. You can never win that fight. And this all probably happened because at one time you didn't have the knowledge, the understanding, the experience, the wisdom, and the capabilities that you have now. And that urgency felt necessary, maybe because it was back then. And if you were to meet that version of you, and you could tell that version of you everything you now know about mold, about early detection, about reducing risk, about where to look and what to do, what to eat. How much more knowledge do you have now that you didn't have back then? Anxiety may have been helpful back then because you didn't know what you now know. In the time between then and now, you've learned, you've experienced, you've adapted. And the part of you that once needed to be frantic and react can start to realize that you are no longer the same person that you used to be. Right now, you're someone who understands. You're someone who recognizes. You're someone who knows what to do. And the more you think about how much you know, the more you realize you are capable. And I wonder if you could imagine a version of you, not in the distant future, but a version of you that already exists. A version of you that has your same knowledge, your same wisdom and experience. But a version of you that sees that as empowering. Because with all of your knowledge, you could see danger everywhere. But you could also see solutions everywhere. You could feel like a superhero. Invincible, capable. So imagine that other version of you moving through environments with calm awareness, who also notices things clearly, either by smell, sensation, or sight. But instead of responding with anxiety, they respond with empowered precision. Not with urgency, and not with fear, but with a feeling of certainty. And I want you to imagine this version of you walking around your home. And they don't look tense, and they don't look overwhelmed. They look composed, grounded, capable. Because that version of you understands something at a profoundly, deeply, almost intuitive level. That what once felt like a weakness was actually a refined ability. Perhaps even a superpower. And as you step closer to that version of you, you begin to realize that this sensitivity, this awareness, this understanding is not something to fear. It's something that most people don't even have. You are stronger now than you've ever been, more aware than you've ever been. That version of you has an early detection system, a signal, a radar, sensory acuity that allows you to notice things that others would miss. What's invisible to them is obvious to you, enabling that calm, composed version of you to act earlier, to respond faster, to solve problems before they grow. And the only thing that ever needed to change was not the ability, but how you perceive that ability. And with that capability, the calm, composed awareness of what to do with it Because now you don't need urgency. You don't need desperation. You don't need fear. You have knowledge. You have strategy. You don't need to react when you can respond. And the part of you that once asked, what if this happens? What if this is a problem? What if I can't handle it? Thank that part for its wonderful intention of trying to keep you safe. But you can let that part know that it can begin to relax now. It doesn't need to ask those questions, because something far more powerful replaces it. What if we change what if to even if? That even if something is there, you notice it early. Even if it appears, you know exactly what to do. Even if you encounter it, you can handle it calmly, efficiently, effectively. Even if becomes a signal of capability and resilience, not uncertainty and threat. And as you imagine encountering even the faintest trace, notice what happens differently now. No need to catastrophize, escalate, amplify. Your breathing can stay steady. Your chest relaxed and open, your mind stays clear, because your body begins to understand. What if it isn't danger? It's simply information. And information in the hands of someone capable like you creates calm action. And I want you to find that other part within you, that quieter part, a deeper intelligence. You know, the one that's calm, capable, steady. The part that doesn't panic, the part that doesn't rush. And we can call that your intuition, a guardian angel, a protector. And from now on, that intuition begins to guide you. Not with urgency, but with clarity. That part will remind you just how much you know, just how capable you are, of all the options you have. Maybe it will say things like, you've handled this before. You know what to do. You're capable. You are the most suitable person on the planet to handle this challenge. And that voice becomes stronger and more trusted and more automatic. And what if instead of spiraling, you stabilize? And what if instead of reacting, you assess? And what if instead of fearing, you act in that calm, composed, capable way? And what if your what ifs become even ifs? Because this is who you are now. Not someone vulnerable, but someone capable. Not someone overwhelmed, but someone prepared. Someone who moves through the world with awareness, with intelligence, with calm authority, and an intuition that just knows you can handle this. Like someone with a rare ability, a superpower, a sixth sense that others don't have and wouldn't know how to use even if they did. but you do. If your unconscious is willing to reassess, you are now more capable than you've ever been, wiser than you've ever been, more prepared than you've ever been. Let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And I want you to imagine maybe a few weeks from now, and just imagine something that before would have triggered that spiral. But now notice what's different. You can observe, you can register, and you can feel calm and capable. Like you can trust yourself to handle whatever needs handling, quickly, efficiently, and without escalation. Because every part of your nervous system has learned something new. That you are safe. Not because nothing ever happens and there's no risks at all, but because you can handle whatever challenge comes your way. And when that new belief, that new idea is fully accepted, that you have the resources to meet the demands, you have the capabilities to handle the challenge, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. Very soon, I will count from 1 to 10 so you can return. Not with an idea or a belief, but with an identity. You are capable. You are safe. Challenges make you stronger. You do not fear them. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. And wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.